Welcome to the newest episode of Beyond the Fame with Jason Fraley. I'm your host, Jason Fraley, picking the brains of the top filmmakers, musicians, and artists of our time. The rock band Everclear performs live at the Fillmore in Silver Spring, Maryland this Wednesday night. I caught up with frontman Art Alexakis about the band's biggest hits, including Santa Monica, I Will Buy You a New Life, Father of Mine, and Wonderful. Hey, Art Alexakis. Hey, thanks so much for joining us on WTOP in DC.
Hey, man, thanks for having me. How you doing?
Good. We're talking because you, of course, of Everclear are coming to the Fillmore in Silver Spring, Maryland on Wednesday, September 13th. Now, before we even get to that, I have to cite the Seahawk elephant in the room. Look at the hat. Here we're all big, Washington football fans, Commanders fans now, still getting used to that name. But I got a bone to pick with you. I was at that game when RG3 blew his knee out in the playoffs, and our franchise went like this, and you and Russell Wilson went like that, and it's just not been fair.
Man, I remember watching that game. Were you there? Were you at the game?
I was there. It was like the closest we ever, in how many years we came to, actually making a run.
RG3 was so amazing.
I know.
He wasn't very football smart about sliding. He wasn't very football smart about, wow, I don't feel good. I shouldn't probably play. And it just cut what could have been a Hall of Fame career.
Heisman winner, and then amazing Rookie of the Year season, and then ever since that injury, him and it was Mike and Kyle Shanahan, because Kyle went on to.
But you're blaming me. You're blaming.
I am blaming you for that. Just because you're wearing that hat, 11 years later, it caused that injury. I believe that.
Well, I am a 12, brother. That's what Seattle fans call ourselves. And isn't it great that football's coming back? I'm so excited.
I'm excited. It's the most wonderful time of the year. No offense to the Christmas Carol.
Christmas?
This is the best. Between now and New Year's, that's my time, baby. I love this time of year. It's the best for me.
I get it, brother. I get it. It stops being hot. It cools off. Sweater weather, football. Yes.
Absolutely.
And for baseball, it's the playoffs and the World Series, which is always good.
Oh yeah, you got the hunt for October heating up, and I'm an Orioles fan.
Dude, you got a team this year, bro.
This is the year, but it's always been interesting because nowadays you'd say, why aren't you a Nats fan or a Ravens fan? They've been the better teams, but growing up, neither of them were here. So I was DC football and Baltimore baseball. I was like a Cal Ripken Oriole guy, and a Joe Gibbs football guy. So it's weird how it works out. But yeah, the O's, we could make a run this year. We got a good young squad.
I'm hoping. I want it to be a repeat of the '66 World Series. Orioles, Dodgers, my Dodgers.
Oh, so you're Dodgers.
I'm much older than you. I saw my first game, a doubleheader at Dodger Stadium, when I was just 7 or almost 8 years old, 1970.
Who was on the team? Was this before Fernando Valenzuela, or what? Who was on the team then?
Oh, way before, like 10 years before.
Okay,
yeah, it was like 10 years before.
You're not Sandy Koufax and Don Drysdale, though. You're between that.
I missed them by about 5 years. 4 or 5 years. Drysdale by about 2 years. No, Don Sutton was just starting to pitch. But we played the St. Louis Cardinals and Bob Gibson.
Oh yeah,
Bob Gibson. You know who Bob Gibson is?
Yes,
right?
They changed the mound because of him. They shortened
because he would beat people to a pulp. And he pitched a 2-hitter, and the infielder dropped it, and he ran over to him and just yelled at him for dropping it.
Wait, this was your first game you ever went to?
First game, and I'm up in the nosebleed seats and with binoculars, just losing my mind because it's the most exciting thing I'd ever done in my life. And then he hit. This is way before Ohtani or anybody like that. He hit a grand slam home run. That's what pitchers did back then. You had to be able to bat. That's what baseball players do. You pitch, you bat, you do it all. Anyway.
That's insane. Before we move off this, I have to say, that's insane that you mentioned your very first game you went to was almost 2-hitter, because my very first game was an actual no-hitter against the Orioles. It was before they built Camden Yards. It was at the old Memorial Stadium in Baltimore. But it was Wilson Alvarez of the White Sox. But when I was a kid, we're sitting there with Dad, like, Dad, this is boring. No one's getting a hit. Like Ripken he walked. He was the only one to prevent a perfect game with the walk. But we're like, why is it? But Dad can't. You don't want to jinx the no hitter, so he's like, he can't.
Like,
yeah. Well, even though it was
eat a
against
hot dog.
yeah, exactly. So
Eat a hot dog.
the mixed experience as a kid, but in hindsight, I'm like, wow, I was at a no hitter in my first game. Anyway, man, we could talk sports all day, but we probably should plug your show at the at the Fillmore.
Talk about the rock and roll just a little bit. I've never played Silver Spring, the Fillmore at Silver Springs. I'm excited. I'm really excited to play there.
Yeah, we spoke to you a couple of years ago. Where did you come? I think it was City Winery, which doesn't exist anymore. That was a pandemic victim.
Casualty.
Yeah, casualty. There's the word. That's why you're the songwriter. You come up with the verbiage. But last time we spoke, you said your guitar got smashed like at the airport. And we were joking, like, are you gonna have to play air guitar? Do you remember this? And do you have working all the instruments are good this time, right?
All instruments are good this time, yeah. That was my acoustic guitar. So someone at the airport smashed it up. I got new guitars and I got that guitar fixed since.
Did they reimburse? Yeah, does the airline reimburse you for that?
Like $200.
Not worth the hassle.
$5,000 guitar.
Oh my God. Not to mention the stress of all that before the gig. Well, anyway, I'm glad all systems are go. No instruments were harmed in the making of this interview. So what if folks come out to see this show, is it like? I assume all the greatest hits, anything new. Well, actually, now that I think about it, don't you have a new one coming out live at Whiskey A Go Go on September 8th? So I guess a little of everything.
Well, Live at the Whiskey A Go Go is our first real live album. We recorded it last December 1st, the last show of our 30th anniversary tour last year. And it's 15 live tracks, fan favorites, all the hits. Sounds great. It sounds like us live. If you've seen us live, we're much harder live. We always have been. We're much more produced on record. That the way I grew up in the 70s and 80s, that's kind of how you did it. So that's where I get that from. But we also got 2 new songs on the album. The one that we recorded last year, studio tracks, a song called Year of the Tiger. And then we have a song called Sing Away, which no one's heard yet. And the video is going to debut on September 8th, Friday, September 8th, on the People Magazine website, which is exciting. They're going to premiere it. So it's really cool. I just approved it yesterday. It came out really great.
Awesome.
My 16-year-old's in it, almost 60.
Oh, wow. So 2 new studio recorded songs, and then the rest of the album is all the live at the Whiskey Go Go. Nice.
Live hits, old school stuff. Yeah.
We're going to have to check that out. I love it. Well, and then also, I guess we should say, I think you're touring with the Ataris. People remember them for that amazing cover of Don Henley's The Boys of Summer. If you want to know how to do a cover, if you want to know how to do a cover song, that's one of the best ones right there, I think. So how fun has it been touring with Ataris?
I don't know. We haven't, we talked to him on the phone. I talked to Chris on the phone, but haven't met him in person. We're going to see him on Wednesday. Is Wednesday the 6th is the first show of the tour. We fly out from home to catch up with the bus on Monday. So we'll be on the bus on Tuesday. Tour starts on Wednesday the 6th. Album comes out on Friday the 8th. The video debuts on Friday the 8th. And then we got 6 weeks on tour with them and a really great band out of Nashville called the Pink Spiders. Great band. So it's going to be a fun tour. It's going to be awesome. A lot of fun.
That's cool. So we're going to catch you like a week into the tour. That's great. We're on the front end of it. That's great. Awesome. Well, while we have you, I want to, remind folks some of your journey. And so you're born in LA in like 62 or something. But then you how'd you make your way to Portland to form Everclear in 91? Like, how'd you make the move?
Well, I lived in LA and I moved to San Francisco because LA had become like butt rock metal mecca, and it was all what they call pay to play. So you basically have to sell tickets to play a gig. So us and a lot of bands moved to San Francisco where they had a club system that was old school. where you could get gigs. And I started a record label there. And went on tour. I met a girl from Portland, Oregon. She moved down to San Francisco, lived with me for about a year. She got pregnant. So we moved to Portland in late 91, had our baby in June of 92. I started Everclear in Portland in April of 92 and put out our first record in 93, World of Noise, that we recorded for $400. True story. And then just toured and just, you know, just played as much as we could. And major labels took a notice of it and signed us. Capitol signed us in 94, June 94. And we recorded our debut major label record, Sparkle and Fade, that summer. And it came out the next May with our first single, Heroin Girl. It wasn't a big hit, but a big fan favorite. And then later that summer, Santa Monica came out. That became a hit single, and that was kind of the rest is history.
Absolutely. Okay. Thanks for filling us in on that. So that makes sense then why you would be Dodgers baseball, because you were born and grew up in LA. But then as you made your way up to Portland, I guess that's a little closer to Seattle for the Seahawks. And it's all making sense now. It's all making sense.
I can't put nothing past you, brother. No way.
Well, cool. Well, I'm not gonna let you put Sparkle and Fade past me with, I mean, you dropped Heroin Girl and Santa Monica real fast. I want to know, because you're dealing with some heavy stuff and they're storytelling songs, it's not just, fluffy stuff. I mean, Heroin Girl is overdosing on heroin. I guess you lost a brother to an overdose on heroin. Santa Monica, the rumor and innuendo is, a girlfriend committing suicide off the Santa Monica Pier. But how much of that is apocryphal or true or, personal?
Well, the stuff about Santa Monica is absolutely not true, and I've said it like 1,000 times. People just like to make stuff up.
How did that come up? Like, why did people invent that?
I don't know, man. You said storytelling, and you're absolutely right. I like storytelling singer-songwriters, and I like punk rock and hard rock and big guitars. And that's pretty much what Everclear is, a singer-songwriter and a rock band. Um, about a third of our songs are autobiographical. Father Mine, definitely. Wonderful, definitely. There's other songs that like the fans know really well that are autobiographical. Then about 30% of our songs, another third of our songs I take things from my life and create characters like Heroin Girl. My brother died of an overdose. I almost died 3 times of an overdose. I had my heart defibrillated. I was a drug addict. I was a street junkie, blackout drunk. Got sober in 1989. So 34 years. But then a third of my songs, I just write. I come up with an idea and I write about it. And if you can't tell the difference, and a lot of people can't tell the difference, then I'm doing my job.
You're doing it right. Yeah, exactly. Because it sounds real. So yeah, that's great.
I think there's truth, even if it didn't like actually happen in real life like that. It doesn't mean it isn't true,
Yeah, there can be truthful elements based on things you've gone through or seen or heard or read about. But even if it's not to a T, that story you told is not 100% true. But yeah, no, you're right. The fact you can't tell the difference. Yep. Awesome. Well, then after Sparkle and Fade, of course, So Much for the Afterglow comes in 97, and it's just, that thing is massive. Tell me about I Will Buy You a New Life. Didn't you said you just bought a new house when you were penning that one?
I was living in Portland, and I bought it up in the West Hills, and that's where the big, beautiful houses were. And before we got signed, me and my second wife, then girlfriend, and our baby were pretty poor. And we lived in a place, the neighborhood was called Felony Flats, if that gives you an idea, in Portland. But we'd get a Happy Meal for our daughter in the back seat. We drive up to the West Hills and park. And I'm sure freak people out like they thought we were casing their houses and stuff. And we beat up Nissan Sentra that's had a back window missing, and the the trunk was open, and yeah. So we used to look at those houses and fantasize about being in them. And 2 years later, after the success of Everclear, I bought a house up there. So it was interesting, different perspective, inside looking out versus outside looking in. And that's why I wrote that song.
I love it. I love it. And then, of course, the same album you referenced it earlier, but my listeners will kill me if we don't at least get one question on Father of Mine. I mean, I know it's based on your dad leaving at a young age, and I think last time we spoke, you said you kind of related not only the memory of that, but then looking at your own daughter as a young father back then and being like, how on earth could someone do that? But yeah, tell us about the writing of Father of Mine.
That's where it came from. I was just one night after putting my daughter to bed. She was probably 4 or 5 years old at the time. Um, and just when you have kids, parents watch their kids sleep. It's like cheap entertainment, and it's really special. It's kind of magical. And I remember watching her sleep and just going, man, not trying to be mean, not trying to be sarcastic or anything or snarky, but seriously, how does a man do that? I don't understand how you do that. When you see that and you realize that's a part of your life and that you're responsible for that, and that is something that will help motivate you and drive you, in a
Yeah.
productive way. How do you walk away from that? My wife went to bed. Um, I went to my little studio office, and sat down with my guitar and notepad, and
Wow, wow. I mean, yes, I'm with you. It's how it takes us a different kind of person that I don't want to associate with that could just walk away from that. I mean, I don't understand it. I don't understand it, but I'm glad
yeah,
you got a song out of it.
I am too. In hindsight, my dad wasn't a bad guy. He was broken. He was
Yeah,
raised, in a broken way. He was abandoned by his dad.
yeah,
I have broken a cycle of like 4 or 5 generations on my father's side of men abandoning their kids,
wow.
and I'm grateful that I had the wherewithal to do that.
Yeah, good for
But
you. Good for you for breaking that cycle. Yeah, what they say, hurt people. It becomes a
yeah,
cyclical thing. But I'm glad. I mean, it takes someone strong like yourself to stand up and break that. So that's amazing. Hey, maybe time for one more of the classics from the next album, Songs from an American Movie. Wonderful. Tell me about what inspired that? Is it sort of about like how divorce affects kids or affects the couple or all the above?
well, that's in that second category I was talking about, where I was a child of divorce, and um, in '99, uh, I got divorced from my daughter's mother. Uh, I wasn't, even though I was clean and sober, I wasn't acting clean and sober as far as not drugs or alcohol, but just the way I was acting. I was lying, I was cheating a lot, sleeping with a lot of women, just, you know, playing into that whole prototype, kind of rock and roll lifestyle. And I watching the pain in my daughter going through that reminded me of the pain of me. And also another guy in my band, his dad had abandoned him. And
Mm,
so that was an amalgam of a bunch of different things that I put it into, created that character, you know, and from that perspective of being 8 years old or 7 years old or 5 years old or whatever it was, being a child and just being in that live wire of just emotions that children are, you know. And thank God my uh my oldest daughter went through that, and she still got issues with me about it. She's in her 30s. My youngest daughter, me and her mom have been together almost 19 years, and we've just got a better relationship than when we met. And it's so she's blessed to have that strength, and know that her parents love her and that she's safe and secure. Because kids just want to be safe, you
yeah,
know. They just want to be. We all just want to be safe.
yeah.
Everybody wants to be safe. So it's funny though. A little side note about that song. So that album had started as a solo record, and I hadn't written that song, and but I written a bunch of the other ones, and the band heard it, and the label heard it, my management heard it, and I hadn't played it for them, and it was going to be my solo record, and they showed up at my house at the same time and basically begged me to make an Everclear record, and I said okay, and but I'm like, it's not done yet. We need to go in and put you guys on it, take the old drums off, put new drums on, bass. And I wrote another couple songs, and one of them was a song that I didn't have words for yet, but I wanted to call it Wonderful. And I knew it was going to be about divorce. And then I finished it. And a friend of mine that I was working with was like, man, he's looking at the list of songs. He goes, what's the song Wonderful? I go, it's a new song that I just finished. I could play it for you. He goes, oh, finally, an upbeat, happy song. That's, you never write happy songs, finally. And he used the F word many times, like, finally. And I'm like, okay, want to hear it? And I played it for him.
When you listen
And
to
he's
the
like,
words, hey, I mean,
he's like,
it sounds na 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 na. It sounds, upbeat, but if you listen to the
I know.
lyrics,
That's kind of my thing. My songs are major chord and they sound all upbeat and melodic, but they kind of hit you at home a little bit. Our new song "Sing Away" is very similar to that in a lot of ways. It doesn't have nanas in it, but yeah. And he listens to it and he's like, "It's a great song. It's going to be a hit song." And then he goes, "Fuck you," and then he walks away. You can cut that out, right?
well, you know what? Yeah, for the radio, for the FM airwaves, I'll probably cut it out, but maybe I'll leave it in for the full podcast or something. Because come on, why we're not gonna censor art here? Come on, literally art and art. We can't censor art.
Fucking A.
Can't censor art. Well, you've been really, really generous with your time, so we'll let you run. But everybody, come check out Art Alexakis, said it right, of Everclear.
Like Alex saw the band Kiss. Alexakis.
There you go, Alexakis. Oh
Right.
wow! But it's not in Detroit Rock City. It's in Silver Spring, Maryland, and it will be at the Fillmore on Wednesday, September 13th. But whatever you do, don't wear the Seahawks hat. All right, you can't wear the Seattle hat.
Dude, one of the best things about being on tour is we're all going to be on the bus, and we have almost every Sunday off. And DirecTV, YouTube, NFL ticket, get out of here. Sunday ticket, gonna watch every game.
That's so awesome. Riding down the road on a Sunday, watching the games. That's fantastic.
Yeah,
yes.
Making some chili in the slow cooker in the crock pot. Making some bratwurst on the George Foreman.
That's like the John Madden bus. Remember, he used to take the bus everywhere because he was afraid to fly. Yeah. But that's like you, man.
Afraid to fly.
Yeah, you're the John Madden bus.
But he had a full-on grill. He was like grilling stuff. He had like a Viking stove and stuff on his bus.
Yeah, and turduckens waiting for him when he got off on Thanksgiving. But yeah, Art might not be wearing the hat, but he will be in beast mode on stage, right? He will be in beast mode like Marshawn Lynch on stage.
I will be in beast mode.
That's Absolutely. The best. That's the best I can do to tie it all together. So, hey, thank you so much for joining us. This was so much fun. I know you've had a long day of interviews, but thanks for being so lively and sharing the sports stories and all the fun stuff. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, brother. Thanks. Good interview. Take care.
Thanks so much for listening to Beyond the Fame with Jason Fraley. Our theme music is Scott Buckley's Clarion. Remember to give us a 5-star rating if you like what you hear. We'll see you next time.